I mean, did we just decide to do this, guys?
Yes, I think we did. I was against it at first, but now I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, I don't want to go to my big girl office job and then just what titties out in the woods.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Ghost in the Magazine. I'm Elle.
I'm Steph.
I'm Sadie.
I'm Molly.
And today we're covering The Ritual.
I love this movie.
I do too, actually.
Did you guys know that it's a book by Adam Neville?
I did not know that.
I did
Yeah.
not.
It's
I'll
on
have
my...
to read it.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those movies where I did not know at all what to expect when I saw it, or was watching it, and then was completely shook by the end of it.
I want to tell you guys why I watched this movie the first time that I did, because I've seen the cover for it a bunch of times and I always pass it because I'm like, you know what I mean? I saw a TikTok. One thing about me, I'm a sucker for a crazy creature reveal, okay? And normally I don't like when things get ruined, but someone posted a picture of the thing when it's got the glowing eyes, and I was like, what movie is this? Somebody tell me right now. What?
For me, it was like with me and the ex were scrolling, just looking for something to watch, and we're like, whatever, this seems chill. It was not fucking chill, like at all. But I'm glad I watched it either way. But like his family's a camping family, and I'm pretty sure there was like a camping trip like 2 weeks after that, and I was like, I will see you when you get back. I'm not fucking doing that. Like, I'm good.
We are a camping family too, actually. Well, we were when I was little. And yeah, I did watch this and go, I more was judgmental. I was like, that is not how you properly camp. That's like, why are you going into the woods? I was just judging them the whole time because that was
Same.
not proper camping etiquette.
I mean, the
Oh.
opening scene gets you immediately,
Mhm.
but even with the camping part of it, it's just like in my black person soul, in my common sense soul, and in my autistic soul, it's like, don't go off the fucking trail.
No,
Like,
never.
don't do that.
It's bad etiquette, just like it's not good for the wildlife, it's not good for the forest, it's not good to
Right.
get off the trail. It's so that also bothered me. But I will say that this movie is like Society, the one that we just covered, where I tried watching it, but it wasn't because I was bored that I DNF'd it. It's because that first scene where the guy gets killed in front of his friend, that gutted me, and I stopped it and just like didn't come back to it because I was like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that.
It's
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough, but then for me personally, I'm like, I don't think the solution is like, let's go on the trip he always wanted to go on. I'm like, I would rather not do that.
yeah, that's like man logic. You know what I mean? Like that definitely seems like something a bunch of dudes would do.
Mhm.
And I also, okay, this is gonna sound real shitty, but I also really liked this movie because it's a bunch of dudes suffering. Like you always see things happening to women, not groups of dudes. You know
I
what
think that was my favorite part of it. There was no damsel, there was no girl. It was just men making dumb fucking decisions left and
yeah.
right.
Repercussions.
Englishmen who
Yeah.
think they
Yes,
are invincible.
Englishmen. We could totally cut through the woods. I'm like, have you been here before? Do you know like
They
what's on the
think
other side of that?
they think if they have a beer in one hand and a
Mm.
stick in the other, they can do everything.
I mean,
It's
I
so
guess.
funny. It's the same thing I said when I watched Midsummer. This is never gonna happen to me because I'll never be here in this place. I'll like nothing that goes on over there. I'm not going.
Right? The moment that guy like fucked up his ankle, I'd have been like, trip over. Like, we're not doing all this extra shit. Sorry, clearly
No,
the fates don't want us here. Like, can we just go
Oh,
home?
go home. You're
there's no
injured.
way
Go
I
home.
would make the choice to cut through unknown woodland off the trail to get there faster. That doesn't make any sense at all because like
Man,
you have a well-traveled hiking trail where you're
Mhm.
likely to bump into somebody else that could assist you at some point, even if
Right.
you had to leave him somewhere and keep walking and come back.
Right, but it's just men. We'll figure it out. It's giving very much Descent, but with like stupid men in the woods.
But that's what I'm saying.
We
There's
have
not. Can you think of another movie that it's just dudes? They always throw women in there, usually to like kill one of them first or show boobies.
Right. No, just dudes.
That's true. There was no boobies. There was.
No, and I was okay with
I was fine with that, but it was just
I was
like
more than fine with that.
Mhm.
it was a good movie. I think the cinematography was great. The soundtrack was like it just
Ooh.
made me comfortable the whole fucking time. But you know.
I have one thing. I was
Mhm.
thinking about Blair Witch only because when we popped off about all the things that they could have done, one of the things was like, give us like a little side leg, a creepy hand, and they did the creepy hand, like that focus in through all of those trees. And I was like, look, I'm afraid.
My thing is just like you're going through Untamed Woods. You're a bunch of dudes who clearly don't know shit and haven't read a book in your life. Why are you touching stuff? Don't touch stuff. Stop
Right.
touching things.
As soon as you see the culty symbols carved into the trees, you turn around and you walk the opposite direction.
To
Right, that's
be
just kind of bad.
fair, this is a Nordic country and those looked runic, so they could just be inconspicuous. But I still
Mm.
think
I don't
the
care.
night that I decided to break into somebody's abandoned cabin, I would be the fuck back out. I would
Not a
be
fucking
out.
topic.
That's it.
Like, I'm good.
I don't care if
No.
it's a perfectly rational explanation as to why there's runes there. I'm still not touching them. I'm still not getting close.
I'm not
Because there could be a
crossing
very good
like,
reason.
going the other way. I don't know. It's just yeah, you're right. I'm like Steph. I wouldn't be in this situation. Like,
No,
yes,
yeah.
my friend is dead. Okay, but you guys still want to go on this trip? I absolutely fucking do not. Like,
No.
I'm gonna grief
Yeah,
count instead
I
because that seems like a much better idea.
Yeah, we're gonna go somewhere warm. We're gonna pour one out for him, on the beach.
Yeah, how
That's
is
what I
that
would be doing.
fun? I have no offense to the hikers, but they're like, we're gonna have fun on this trip. I'm like, we're walking for miles for days. That's not fun to me.
Okay, I like
Something fun about
yeah.
that.
yeah.
I like that, but because I'm not like a well-traveled person, like going to a completely different country with a different culture and a different language, and then going in their woods without knowing all of that stuff, that is not something I'm going to do. Like, would I hike out here where I know the forests and the trails intimately? Yeah, I would. And I would do that for fun, but
They
I
could have
wouldn't
gotten
go
a
to a
tour
strange
guide.
place. Huh?
If anything,
They could
I've
have gotten
learned.
a hiking guide
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
You know,
We
I
all
think-
have the superpower called common sense.
Yeah, but not all of us. Clearly, these men lost it on the way to wherever they were going. But my thing
Us
too is
four,
like,
we have common sense.
from what I have learned from these like Nordic area like horror movies, just stay the fuck away from that place. Just stay away from there. Like, don't
Yeah.
touch anything. Don't go there. Don't get involved in any cults. Don't walk through the forest. Just don't
Oh.
even think about it. Like,
Yeah.
They're having this really cool festival. No.
no, no,
No festivals.
no.
no
I'm not
festivals.
doing
No
it.
They're
hiking
gonna
in the
want my
woods.
skin or my blood or like my uterus.
Right.
It's not for sale.
I think I'm just too black to be in this situation.
Period. So
Like-
Okay, but I am a white woman of Germanic descent, and I'm too like smart to be in that situation. So we'll
Oh,
just
yeah,
put
there's
that out
genius,
there.
and then there's the blood.
I am
at the
so
core that my ancestors would literally punch me in the face if they found me in this situation. They're like, bitch, we escaped. Like, you don't have to do this.
I am so Irish that I bleed green. Seriously, we tested on ancestry.com. I am so Irish that there's none of my ancestors from anywhere else. And I can say we do not go in the forest because we're scared of the fairies.
yeah, that too. I'm scared of shit of them.
Fairies are up to some stuff.
Yeah, creatures, runes aside, I also don't fucking like bugs, and I can't imagine that any good bugs exist in these woods. So
No
I'm
way.
not. No.
I don't
I-
know about like European bugs. I only know about Florida bugs, and that's bad enough. Like the things that you can find in Florida, that's bad enough. But I've lived here my
Florida's
whole adult
bugs, I
life.
don't even want to know.
I know these scary things.
So
I'm from Minnesota, so it's mild bugs here, but like I know those bugs. I'm cool with those. I don't know what Norwegian bugs are like. Like what?
right.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I like bugs and I know what bugs are friendly in my local area. But what Steph has in Florida, I've seen pictures of those bugs, and that terrifies me enough. I'm not even thinking of other continents. A whole continent I'm staying the fuck off of forever because of the bugs is Australia too. Like,
Oh yeah.
Cicada getting going on.
Australia.
I see the videos of like people just like their front yards are covered in hordes of cicadas.
The
I'm like,
cicadas.
can't even
Also,
handle that.
the red too. I'm like, man, I know there's a lot of stuff in Florida, but I'm so glad I don't live somewhere that's overrun with cicadas right now. I won't I'll pass away.
I will never complain about them again because we have them here and they're very annoying, but we do not have them at the levels of whatever the fuck is going on over there. So I'm just gonna shut my mouth.
I saw a
I don't have them at
TikTok.
all.
I saw
We're
a
talking
TikTok
about
of a
bugs.
girl in her car crying because there was
Yeah.
cicadas.
She had like a paper bag over it. She's like, I can't do this.
Because like they're gonna get in my socks.
They're gonna get in my ears and my hair. And I'm
That
glad
would
I'm here
be
to
my
save you.
experience in the woods in Scandinavia, probably
Yeah.
with like any bug that's there.
You know, shout out to Teresa the tarantula, who is listening to us slag off bug.
I mean, tarantula in box, okay. Cicada
Yes.
surrounding me in the dark when I have to run into my house, literal Hitchcock nightmare. Like,
I
That-
love praying mantises. They're like my favorite bugs.
kill them
There's
down.
lots of bugs up here that I really like. I love roly-polies. They're sweet. I
but
like
if there's a horde of them, that's a different story.
true.
Like,
Well, I
Up
had cicadas in Ohio, but there weren't that many, and so they didn't bother me. I also loved fireflies when I lived in Ohio because we don't have those out here.
You guys
And
had fireflies?
we don't out here.
we
No.
didn't-
Yeah, in the
I want
Midwest,
fireflies so bad, but it's too
they're
cold in
so
here.
cute. I love the fireflies
Like-
and their glowy butts.
We're popping off about bugs when there's a whole monster to talk
Oh
about.
my god. Well, I was just talking about how I wouldn't be in this situation because one, I don't camp, two, bugs, B, the three, black, four, Scandinavia. I don't have a passport. I'm not going.
Mm-mm.
I
So-
live-
Seriously, your tent just needs to leak water on you once, and you'll know not to ever go camping again.
Yeah.
need access to like plumbing. Like I'm not shitting in a hole. It's just like not the like.
we went camping and we didn't poop in any holes.
I
We
mean,
were
if
an
you have like a
established camper.
stall, it's still a hole in the ground. Like,
Oh
it's-
no, I didn't. That thing. What was
Mm.
it called? What that had the toilets, but that go into the hole in the ground. What is
Oh, a
that?
pit toilet.
I
There's
didn't-
some of those.
Oh,
I
those are
use those regularly when I camp. I
Ugh.
don't, or when I hike. I don't mind them, but
I just
they're
feel like I'll fall in.
well. I mean, I used a porta potty at a festival that I went to a while ago, and it was nasty. So, but I have to do what I have to do.
I literally held it both of the last EDCs that I went to because I would rather die.
So back to the men who do
yeah,
what
we're
a
so
girl
off the topic.
Well, the men can piss anywhere, so
That's-
they're fine.
Exactly.
That is very true. They can piss wherever they want.
It's not
Yeah.
fair. It's not fair.
No, it's not.
I don't know. This movie started with trauma and just kept throwing it at you.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, because they were like still dealing with it, especially the one with survivor's guilt. And
Yeah.
that made me really, really sad because in all honesty, there was not anything that he could have done in that situation.
wasn't.
Like they could have both ended up dead. And
Yeah.
like easy to think after the fact of something that you could have done, but not in that moment. And like
You should
know,
have
that
given
guy
him
did
the wedding
nothing.
ring. Just give him the
Yeah.
fucking ring. I'm sorry,
did
but
not.
like, it's not worth
Yeah,
your
just
life.
get him the ring. That was
my mom
literally-
always said, like, if you're in a situation like that, just give them, you know,
That
just
was my frustration. Like I get the principle behind the matter, but at the end of the day, just give the fucking
his
ring
wife
up.
would have rather had him than
Right.
him without.
Yeah. Bet his
Yeah.
kids would have loved to have seen him.
Yeah, so his friend
Um,
really couldn't do. You can't control what he does, and you can't control what the robbers did because they didn't have to choose violence. They could have left. They didn't have to choose murder because that guy went ham. He could have just.
No, yeah, he did.
Uh,
But it's just like just give the stuff up. Like in the way that I like left my marriage, I was like, it's my stuff or it's my fucking sanity. So like I'm just gonna go. Like keep it, take whatever you gotta take. But yeah, that sucks. And then like so now they're like, what is it, like 6 months after that happened? They're like, let's go do this trip, and I'm just like, okay, why? But okay, well maybe it'll be fun, but it's just hiking, so no.
Hiking, not only hiking, but
Mm.
hiking in bad weather. Did they not check
That's
before
true.
they
Yeah.
went?
That
Yeah,
and
I
that
would've had
guy
a
twists
back
his knee like while he's out there, so clearly he wasn't in the right shape to be hiking in the first place. Like this hardly seemed like a situation to fuck your leg
Ooh,
up in.
The
But
guy with the glasses really annoyed me.
He was like a little bitch boy.
I wish I could smack him around. He was and he lived one of the longest. He was like the second he was lived the second longest.
I know.
And by
That
the
was
end,
for dramatic effect.
I was ready to kill him myself.
And then yeah, you were talking about like the symbols and stuff, but like I feel like the gutted elk hanging from a tree would have
Yeah.
been enough for me to be like, maybe we shouldn't go this way.
And they were debating whether or not it was a bear.
Yeah.
A bear.
I live in an area with bears. Like we don't have grizzly bears. Well, we might eventually because they're talking about re-releasing them out here, but we have black bears.
Right.
And if I saw that, the way that I would get the fuck out, there's no way the wild animal did that ever.
Yeah, I just don't see the logic behind maybe an animal picked up an elk and hung it from a tree and gutted
Animals aren't gonna do
I just-
that.
My brain couldn't conceive like what could have done that. You know,
Right.
and then when I mean, like watching my friends get snatched up in the darkness, first of all, pee pants.
Yeah. Pee pants. Well, it's like they get stuck in that place in the cabin because like they find that, but they're like, we'll just keep going through the woods. Mistake number fucking one. And then they find all these weird shit, and then that effigy in the cabin, and I'm like, that would have been my note moment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what the fuck is going on up here? And then they're touching it, and I'm like, don't touch
Yeah,
the
you
effigy.
don't touch the headless antler man thing.
Stop touching shit. That's my number one rule.
With like the whole them waking up thing, you could talk most of them out, right? Pissed himself.
Mhm.
Yeah, happens, whatever. One screaming in the corner, very concerning, whatever. The guy outside covered in cuts,
Mhm.
potentially sleepwalking, but the guy who is buck naked and kneeling in front of the effigy, does that not ring a bell of
At that point, I'm like, are any of you a priest? Like, you might need one. What was it, Dom? Because like he's blaming him for their friend being dead, and it's like, what could he have done? Your friend was being a douche with bravado about a piece of jewelry and got shot to death. Like, that's not your other friend's fault. Was he supposed to go John Wick and like what was he supposed to do?
I mean, I think he was kind of thinking about throwing the bottle, but there was two of them.
Yeah.
Right?
So you could
Mhm.
throw
Why
the
are you
bottle
blaming
at one
him?
of them, and then the other one would have killed him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It
Like,
wasn't.
there's only so much intervening you can do when someone is being fucking stupid. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. So why you're blaming him is just really fucked up to me.
But I think that it was kind of a point of like mental collapse for everyone at that point, because that is like, and another thing that's very interesting about their little group then is that we have Dom, who is physically fucked up. Like when it shows his knee looks like shit. Like his knee
Yeah.
looks terrible. And then you have the other guy, Phil, I think, the guy that was kneeling to the effigy.
Yeah,
Now
Phil.
it's in his head. So you have somebody who was mentally fucked up and somebody who was physically fucked up. And then the two guys that are trying to like keep them in together.
They get lost in the woods, basically. Like, the
Yeah.
woods become a labyrinth after that because they're like, there has to be a way out. And I'm like, I'm telling you right now, you're never going to fucking find it. Like,
No.
you are trapped here.
It
But
killed the most like the big creature thing. I don't know if it has a name, but it killed the most competent one first as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that was Hutch, I think, was that guy. And he was the one who was telling Luke, get out of here, go. And that was the smartest thing if they were in a normal situation. They're not in a
Right.
normal situation, though. So
you got to take them out by the knees. So yeah, take out the smart one, start fucking with the group dynamics. And I feel like, to be fair, I would say it's like The Descent, but I think it's a lot easier to fuck with male friend group dynamics than it is with women's in certain aspects in these kinds of situations. Because even in The Descent, at first they were sticking together until it started getting there. But I feel like these men were already arguing by the time they got to where they were going. So, you know.
Yeah, there was already tension and anger. Like
And I
when
think
when your mom when your mom first injures his knee,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people going like, "Oh, he's just being dramatic,"
Yeah.
because they just did not trust their friend's word that he
Mhm.
was actually injured.
I think it was that thing, being close to that thing, like it
That's
brought
true.
out the trauma and the insecurities in the friend group within themselves and like with each other. That's why he kept having those dreams, because that's
Mm.
that situation with the friend is the thing that haunts him the most.
Yeah. Like this thing
That
can
makes
bend
sense.
reality. It's not, and it is a godlike entity and offspring of Loki.
Yeah, they said
Uh,
it's the bastardized son of Loki, and I was like,
That makes
I think,
sense.
who was the baby mother that he looks like that? Was
I
it a
don't know.
devil?
Loki would fuck anything, so I mean, he
Now,
Was
one
it?
of his kids was a six-legged horse.
That's what I was gonna say. Doesn't he have a horse son? So it could be
Yeah.
This
anybody.
I gotta tell you guys, when you first get a look at this thing,
Mhm.
it is jarring. Okay.
yeah.
But it's so I want to say like it's jarring, and I was like, oh, but it's also so cute. Look at it, and I'm like, this is exactly how the fuck I would die.
Oh, literally, this
Like I
is
want to pet
I'm
it.
saying. No, we don't pet Loki's son.
But
It's
Don't
it
pet
looks like a Wendy.
it looks like it's got like a person stuck in its mouth vagina. Like
Yes,
it doesn't.
like a Wendy boy ate a person but couldn't get it down the gullet, and so it's just
Okay, first of all, it's an intrusive thought. I wouldn't actually pet it because I know it's an but
What do
I'm
you
at
think?
least I'm only petting it. I'm a step up from a monster fucker because some bitch out there is like, yeah, would do.
Well, yeah, that's how he got born in the first place.
I'm probably gonna write that now. Okay, thank you,
Right, but
Sadie.
there is a monster fucker out there that has this on their list. Tell me they don't.
I
Tell me I'm wrong.
We needed Al on this episode.
wish Al was here.
I know. But it's like, yeah, so I'm not saying I would, but then I guess whatever. They're all falling apart. Shit is crazy. And then they finally find the fucking cult that's feeding this thing. So it's like,
Yeah, I want to talk about that because that shit was crazy. And the reason why Luke lasted the longest and why they're gonna like invite him to be in the cult is because his suffering is the greatest. That's why they marked him. I was like, you're collecting sad bitches.
That's my friendship group.
You guys
I
are
was like,
not
isn't that just this podcast? It's just a bunch of sad bitches talking about fucked up shit.
we're in danger.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're in danger of this cult for sure. Like, so we can never go here. But
We've already established that we wouldn't because we have
Right.
common sense.
Exactly. And he's hungry. Like he's like,
Yeah.
why all those girls come over here?
Well, I mean, apart from Sadie who wants to pet it, but
well, then they keep me because I would just join the cult because clearly
I would
I'm
just bow to it. I'd be like, all right, I live in the woods for all of eternity because I'm immortal now. All right.
like, there's no bills. Okay.
There's
true.
There's
What
no
is
bills.
oh my
Alex,
god, yeah, there's no bells.
You get to do
Gotta
craft.
lure stupid men to
Basket.
their deaths. Like, I'm not complaining about that as an
We're going hiking to Sweden. Come on, everyone.
All right.
We're
I changed
going.
my mind. Let's go join it. Let's go do
This
it.
was a hypothetical, y'all. I'm not.
I know. But it's
No.
like, if the only job is like, we've got to lure unsuspecting, stupid ass men to Loki's killer son here.
That's
like,
easy. That is so easy.
fuck with their minds a little bit. Sounds like a party to me.
That's for
It's like a better career prospect than I currently have.
Same.
So.
Absolute same.
I mean, did we just decide to do this, guys? 'Cause-
I think we did. I was against it at first, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't have to go to my big girl office job and then just titties out in the woods. Like, that sounds fine to
I mean,
me.
he's still in there because all Luke did was outrun him.
Mhm.
That is true. I just think the reveal of the monster too was just like so great because that's not at all what I was expecting. They would do like those little hints with like the hands, like the weird shit going on in the woods.
But this thing,
Yeah,
what in the Monsters Inc? Which kid drew this?
right. This was somebody's nightmare one night, and they're like, "I'm gonna draw it right now." Like, this is a dream journal entry that should have probably stayed there, and now it's in the world.
This is
Someone's
someone's sleep
acid trip.
paralysis demon. That's what this
Sleep
is.
paralysis demon.
All those hands, he's just holding you down and drooling in your mouth.
Like, I guess there's no escape in general, because like, how do you can't kill it, or
You
can
just have to get away.
you just have to
And
get
he
away?
startled it by bowing to it. And he's like, yeah, that's right. Submit, little homie. Submit to me. And
Like,
he's like,
what-
like,
Psych, I'm out. Let me out of here.
Until I read the synopsis though and realized, because to me, like a meadow like that, that's not the end of the woods. That is part of the woods. So
Right.
until I read the synopsis and realized that it was being held back by the trees, I'm like, what? He growled at it? That's what kept it from eating him? What the fuck?
I thought it was scarier. Like, oh,
But yeah, I wouldn't assume that a meadow was the end of the woods. That's usually like some shit you find in the middle.
Right, yeah.
I thought
The
that was
healthiest part of the woods because they were in Deadwood, and all he found was just, oh, this is the healthy part of the wood that isn't corpse trees.
That was the other thing too. I'm like, these trees are all. I'm not going in here. Everything about this screams, no. Like,
The
not
lack of wildlife really got me because you didn't hear any birds, anything. But when he got to the more healthy part of the woods, I think you could hear birds. And I'm like, this is how you know you're going in the right direction. You go towards the sound of birds.
Yeah, but in this case, it's the wrong direction because you're just going towards doom. The devil.
That's also true.
Like, yeah, there's living stuff here, but you're not about to be one of them. So, tread lightly. It's just crazy to me. I don't know. It's one of those movies where it really relies on that like fuck with your head aspect of everything from the jump, which I like. Those are my favorite kinds of movies. And then the reveals when you get to it, you're like, I know it's something fucked up, but I just don't know what yet. Like, but there's always a cult. It's just, what is it with Scandinavia and the cults? It's always a weird fucking cult.
but like that's their culture. That's their business. That's why I don't go there. I mind
Fair enough.
Well, I think that this like mind bending aspect of it really did make it cosmic horror and kind of brought like their folklore into like it like elevated the pantheon into like more like deep myth. Like this could be older than human civilization, something that they discovered, right? And that's really interesting to me because it felt very Lovecraftian despite being like a Scandinavian like cultural horror type thing, which
It's giving very old gods,
Mhm.
very much like what they say in the society. It's like, we've been here for a long fucking time, but like this was believable. Fuck that movie. But yeah, it does cosmic horror that way because like once you enter the woods, you can never leave, and it's just some very otherworldly aspect that is constantly bearing down on them and driving them further into where they need to go. It's like no matter where they go, they're going to end up in front of this cult, in front of these people, in front of this thing. Had they just stayed on the funky ass trail, maybe we never would have ended up here in the first place. But
yeah,
Maybe if they
digress.
didn't bring along a liability who
That too. Or if they just didn't go. Like, you guys could have had a movie night. I don't know.
and they didn't even make a pair of crutches out of tree branches.
Right. Well, because they're stupid.
they're not crafty.
Yeah,
Love.
yeah, I know, but I just keep discovering again how stupid they are because I forget for a second and then I remember and I'm like, oh yeah, they're stupid.
It's
They
not
are.
smart men. They like to act like they are. Then once their backs are against the wall, I'm like, a woman would have made that man a splint and some crutches, and like we would have gone somewhere else. Like,
we would have gone on the trail because the likelihood of running across another hiker is probably pretty high. It seemed like a pretty like well-established traveled trail.
we're not gonna eyeball a map and be like, I think this is a shortcut.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm glad you
Well,
think so.
I'm gonna give this 3.5 chuds, and I think I'm probably the lowest. So
Poor
Like,
chuds.
Yeah, I was at 4 too.
Poor
I was
chuds.
at 3 actually, only because this isn't really my sort of horror. So just taking the little half point off compared to Elle.
Not a 3.
I
It's not
think
a 3.
the reason I gave it 3.5 for me is it feels a little better knowing that apparently that was the forest boundary, but I still feel like the ending was a little, I don't know. I guess I would have rather seen him like go on to the actual roadway or something so that I could see like a physical boundary a little bit more instead of just like it felt very much like, I don't know, roaring at the devil type of thing, which was just like very corny. That I think that scene knocked the 0.5 off for me right there.
That's why I gave it 4. The end was a little too ambiguous for me. Like, did he really get out or not? But I guess maybe that's the point. But I gave it a 4 just because it's a fun movie. It's a good movie. They did what they set out to do. I was
Mhm.
thoroughly.
The
fuck out.
monster was
Yeah.
I
busted.
will say, like, the quality of the camera work, everything was really good.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
The script and lore was good.
Yeah, I
So-
liked it.
okay, I'll give it a 3.5.
That's it for this episode. And in the meantime, you can find us on the interwebs at ghostinthemagazine.site. You can find us on Instagram at GITM Podcast. You can find me on Instagram at Nocturnical.
You can find me on Instagram at Steph Spector.
You can find me on Instagram at Sadie B.
You can find me on Twitter at nighttime_T.
Okay, bye.